Authors Press.
Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. And on the line with us today, we have Carolyn Foster. We'll be discussing her fantastic book, Easy 8, The Big Event, available for purchase directly from her personal site, carolynfoster.com. That's Carolyn with 2 R's, just to make sure there's no confusion. So that's CarrolynFoster.com. There, not only will you find more information on Carolyn herself, you'll find more information on this fantastic narrative, as well as find hyperlinks set up to take you to the purchasing page. So one more time, that's carolynfoster.com. And guys, I will say that Carolyn was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by some of the best movers in the business, Authors Press Publishing. So if you have a book that you'd like moved, do yourself a favor and contact our great friends over at Authors Press. You can find out more information on them at authorspress.com. And guys, listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Carolyn here on the line. Now, the moment you go to her website, carolynfoster.com, you start to do any research on the book, you instantly understand what we're going to be discussing today. Now, it's a children's narrative, okay? Now, it's meant to be fun, but also educational, and it's going to provide an in-depth perspective of bull riding, the sport, as well as an education on the bulls themselves. Now, unless you're someone that was raised on a farm, unless you're someone that is involved in the sport, you probably don't know much about it. I know I don't. I have a very basic understanding. So this is going to be a fantastic education for me as well. So listen, without further ado, sit back, strap in, and let's get ready for a wonderful education. Carolyn, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you so much for being a guest. How are you?
I am great, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we're very much looking forward to it. And like I said, I am not too familiar with rodeos. I mean, again, I probably like the everyday basic knowledge of it. I have a slight understanding of it, but I'm looking forward to this education as well, as I'm sure my listening audience is. So, Carolyn, before we go into the book, though, let's hold off slightly. Start by telling our listening audience a little bit more about yourself and your background, please.
I live in a small, rural, northeastern Oklahoma town. My husband and I have been very active in our local 4-H and FFA programs through our children and our grandkids and their projects with FFA and 4-H. They have shown pigs and sheep at our local county fair and the Tulsa State Fair. And we have been to many events where they have shown animals, and I am a big fan of the PBR, which is the Professional Bull Riding Rodeo or Association, and I just love the art of rodeo and bull riding. I am retired from the United States Postal Service, and my husband and I raised a few cattle ourselves here in Oklahoma, and I have lived here most of my life.
Well, thank you very much for sharing, Carolyn. Now listen, without further ado, Easy 8, The Big Event. Talk to us a little bit more about your narrative.
I got the idea to write the children's book from a bull's point of view by going to the PBR events, and just when you go and you see the event in person, you can see each animal has their own personality. And I just used a little imagination, and I thought this would be a great book for kids.
Carolyn, let's start off at the ground level, right? Let's go real basic here. What is bull riding?
Bull riding is the sport between 2 athletes. One is a bull, one is a cowboy. They have 8 seconds. The cowboy has 8 seconds to ride that bull and to win that event, or he has 8 seconds to do the ride. And the bull has 8 seconds to throw the cowboy off. So the competition is who's going to make the ride, the bull or the cowboy.
Mm-hmm. And in your opinion, do the bulls like to compete?
Yes, they do. And you can see this when you go to an event, a rodeo or to a bull riding event, when the bulls are competing, you can tell they know what they're supposed to do, and they have been trained from a very early age. They are well taken care of. No bull is abused. No cowboy is abused. And they love the event, and when they finish and they buck that cowboy off, they make a victory lap. And you can just see in their attitude and how they hold their head that they are very proud to be doing that sport.
Curiosity, Carolyn, how old are the cowboys when they start bull riding?
Some cowboys are very young. They start with what they call mutton busting. That's the sheep. They start out on a sheep, and some of them are young as 4, and most of them that are competing at the level like high school and college, and then they move on up to the rodeo and to the PBR. So they start at a very young age, most of them.
Mm-hmm. Now, Carolyn, let's go into inspiration. Now, multi-part question here, but first and foremost, what inspired you to write this book, Easy 8?
I just thought it would be a very fun story. It would bring a different perspective to the sport. It's a very old sport, but it's very few people seem to know about it. And a lot of people have never seen a rodeo or a bull riding. And I thought, well, through the bull's point of view, with that uniqueness from each bull and bringing in their personality, it would be a great story for kids.
You know, Carolyn, what a great segue that you just established, because that's the next part that I wanted to go into. Now, you did something very original, right? Very unique by writing your book from that bull's perspective. Now, I'm curious, was this something that you just wanted to do that was different, or was it more so maybe from an outsider's perspective? People that don't know much about the sport, they just see it from one side of things, and it can come off and it can appear as almost barbaric in a sense. Now, of course, someone like you who has been involved in the sport, you know the animals and know how well they are actually taken care of. You know that it isn't barbaric, and as you just stated, you can tell the sense of pride that these bulls have during moments, right? When they have gotten the cowboy off of them before the 8 seconds, that technically they won, right? So there's a sense of pride and commitment that they have established that way. So you have more of an in-depth perception. But I'm curious, when you wrote the book from the bull's perspective, what was the thought process behind that? What inspired you to write it in that direction?
First of all, I wanted the book to be funny, and I thought, from a bull's point of view, when you see the sport, and what would you think a bull would be thinking when they're bucking or training or whatever? And I thought, well, coming from a bull's point of view, let's see what they would think, how they would react. And I wanted it to be where it was less barbaric. It was more fun, and people, when they would go to see the event or the rodeo, they would feel more comfortable, because it can be terrifying if you've never seen it before.
Carolyn, curiosity for myself, because we know that the book, of course, is fun in a lot of aspects, but it also can be educational as well, because you're talking about the different bulls and the different events that are held within it. Talk to our listening audience about some of the education that the children are going to receive once they embark upon this journey.
I brought in the Native American. I kind of separated, the Native Americans. They have a unique concept of Mother Earth and the Spirit, the Holy Spirit and all this. And I wanted to bring a light on them. And because there are Native American bull riders that don't make it to the top. And I just wanted to let America know we have different bull riders. We have different rodeo people from every nationality, every walk of life. It is a worldwide sport. And I just wanted to just say, hey, take a look. And because, cowboys are cowboys, no matter who they are.
Again, here in the line with Carolyn Foster. We're discussing her fantastic book, Easy 8, The Big Event, available for purchase directly through her personal site, CarolynFoster.com. Carolyn, thank you very much for everything that you've relayed so far. Next question that I want to go into is some of that research that you did in preparation for the book. Now, we know that you just stated you brought in some of the Native American culture as well, and really trying to shine a light on all the specifics or all the other sides of things that we don't generally see unless you're someone that is involved in professional bull riding. Now, talk to us, Carolyn, about some of the research that you did in preparation for this book.
Research with Oklahoma is a Native American state, and I am so proud to see all the different heritages here. And I live right in the heart of Cherokee Nation, and there's just so much culture and stuff that it's just waiting to be discovered or for people to really get an idea of the Native Americans. I did a lot of research, and well, not a lot, but I've grown up with knowing a lot about the Native Americans. And the research is just on the bulls, just kind of watching them. I know from experience that every animal has their own personality. Every bull is different. Every cow is different. And I just kind of put them all together and try to make it funny.
There you have it. And what would you say was a highlight for you, Carolyn, in writing this book? Or if not a highlight, maybe something that surprised you that you weren't expecting before you began this journey?
I think the thing that surprised me the most is after writing the book and getting the illustrations and putting them together, seeing that in book form, and it just kind of brought it to life. It just, I could see the whole book, it just brought it to life, everything there. And I was kind of surprised at the final product, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Carolyn, what's next for you? You have any other books that you're in the process of writing, or other ideas that you're hopefully going to embark upon in the future?
Well, I do, but I have another book. It's called Easy Gate, A Bull's View. It's the book one of this one. It is not on the market at the moment. I took it off the market. And I would eventually maybe like to see these two books merged as one. And you never know, maybe someone would like to make an animated movie of the bull riding. I think that would be a great thing. I would like to encourage anyone that's never seen a PBR event or a rodeo, if there's one in your area, go out and see it. It might change your mind.
Absolutely. Carolyn, listen, this is a sport that we know has been around for so many years. And it's something that is going to continue to be around. I don't think there's any shortage on the horizon. So we know that this is something that is going to continue to be on the forefront of our entertainment. Why not learn more about it? And this is why I think your book is so powerful. Because again, for me, I know that my perspective has changed since talking to you, since doing the research on this book. Because as I stated when we first started this interview, like so many others on the outside looking in, had a very small perspective or very small understanding of what bull riding encompassed, right? And for me, I always looked at it as this is a barbaric thing. But after hearing you and learning more of the specific nuances to it, it absolutely is anything but. And I'm so glad that we had you here on the network to really articulate that, because now our listening audience gets to be educated. But anybody that picks up this book is in line for a fantastic education, not only about the sport, but also about the Native American culture revolving around it there in Oklahoma as well. So guys, listen, you know what you have to do. Okay, I'm going to say it for you one more time, even though I know I don't have to. Here on the line with Carolyn Foster. We just finished discussing her wonderful book, Easy 8, The Big Event, available for purchase directly through her site, carolynfoster.com. Carolyn, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you once again for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction.
I thank you for having me.